So do you actually think that we should be here together doing this next card, or should this be more of a kind of a one-woman show?
I think together we do it better, but we just need to keep pounding away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And focusing on
Focus.
what we're doing. Yeah, we mustn't distract each other or allow anyone else to distract us.
And keep putting out quality.
Yes. Yeah. The Eight of Pentacles, or the Eight of Coins. This is such a, I mean, to me, this is a really easy card to read. But again, it does have a lot, quite a few possibilities, even in the immediate kind of looking at it. But it's not one of those cards that sends you into a panic when it comes up. I think, even a beginner would kind of get something immediately out of this, and be quite accurate with it.
Yeah, it's one of the easier cards to comprehend.
Yeah. I mean, he is very much content with what he's doing. To me, it does feel like he doesn't need anybody else, and you could maybe say he doesn't want anybody else to kind of like. I know what it's like myself when I get on a flow with something. I hate it. I really hate it. I don't know about you, Sharon, or everybody else. When I'm on a flow and something interrupts my flow.
Oh, yeah. Frustrating.
Even if it's something that I don't like doing, but I've managed to get myself on the track and I'm doing it and I'm getting on with it. And I just think as long as nothing stops this, I can get this job done.
Yeah, I get in that mindset where I am so focused. My kid says, "Mom," and I'm like, "Grr!" Like, sorry.
Which might be an interpretation of exactly this card in reverse. Actually, that flow has been disrupted in some way. That would be very reasonable to use as a reverse. But whilst it's there in the upright position, I think he's perfectly happy. He's good at what he's doing. Sometimes I see the cards like going up and up and up, and sometimes I look at that as like a conveyor belt.
Yeah, like factory work.
Yeah, but sometimes I see that as, right now you're at the bottom of the ladder, but this is a ladder that there is a climbable ladder there for you. So sometimes I see that kind of Tower of Pentacles in a positive way.
Yeah, like they're all on display and he's moving up with each one he does, and this little one might have gotten discarded for some, not that we can see what's different, but there's something wrong with it, so he was like, no, this one's not good enough.
Could be that. Yeah,
but I do like, he's definitely happy with what he's doing. I like routine. So when I see this, sometimes I get a very strong sense of routine, but it's a good thing. I'm not a sporadic, spur of the moment type of person at all. So I find comfort in this.
But I mean, you can literally apply this to so many things like routine, because, like I've mentioned many times before, I was in a West End show for a long time where you are repeating the same thing night after night after night after night. It's no different to factory work, really. It might sound more glamorous, and there might be the thrill of the audience, but there is a very sort of strict routine, especially backstage, where someone's taking you out of a costume, putting you in a costume, putting a wig on you, a hat on you, blah blah blah, handing you a prop and you walk back on. The whole thing is like a machine, teamwork. But it is very routine. But what I do remember, like for example, one of the people that I played opposite couldn't stand it if I was off, like if I was on holiday or off sick or something, and the understudy went on. Not because the understudy was not good, but because it would feel slightly different. It would feel very, very slightly different. And he really struggled with that. And yet one of the other people I played opposite wanted it different every night, and every night he would say to me, right, what are we going to change up tonight? He would make sure that we never got stuck in a kind of, you know, over and over and again. And I mean, you can't dramatically change anything like that, you just can't, you get sacked. But little things, like little tiny things that we would sort of like do, and it was just a different, as I say, there were two people, same part they were playing, we were singing the same lines, but they had different approaches to it, you know.
And
So
that could, yeah. I would think that the stage would be harder because as a factory worker, you just need to go through the routine and keep up and make sure everything's right. But on stage, you've got to do all that too. But you've got to bring a level of excitement and you've got to bring that emotional level.
oh, you have to.
Yeah.
There is one story that I will tell. As I say, it was all routine, so nothing was any different. But there was one bit where I had this big metal ladle, and at one point in the song, because I was Madame Thenardier, I was like the innkeeper's wife, and she was quite an angry character, that she literally bangs this ladle on everything, like in a rage. This is while the song is all being sung. And I did exactly the same thing every night. And this one particular night, when I banged the ladle, the top of it snapped off and flew across the stage because it had been banged so many times, it had like weakened. Now, it hit someone on the head, and this was a heavy bit of metal coming at a speed, and he ended up having to go to hospital.
No.
I only did what I did every single night, and I'd been doing it for, you know, months, years, whatever. Nobody blamed me. I actually got thanked for this, because him going to hospital, they discovered he actually had stomach cancer, and it came out of a test from the injury of the ladle, flagged up something completely different. And you could say it sort of saved his life, because it got discovered at some
Wow.
it was the most unbelievable story. But as I say, I did not consciously do anything different, and nobody blamed me for anything. And if anything, I caused a happy ending to this, to an otherwise tragic story. But yeah, I mean, routine is a funny old thing, because no matter how hard you try to stick to it, nature can step in, something else can step in. And that's another thing I heard on an astrology podcast that I listened to, that 2021 is going to be quite largely dominated by, I don't want to confuse people that don't know anything about astrology, but by Saturn and Uranus being squared. And because of retrograde, they come close to each other and they square, and then they move apart, but then they turn on themselves and they come back again. So they revisit this several times during the year. And what they were saying is that the general theme for the year in relation to this, which are two big generational planets, is structural changes, and that we're going to have to get used to sort of doing things differently. It's just, you know, worldwide as a whole, things
And that's
will
hard for a lot of people.
a lot of things are going to be just different ways of doing things from now on, that we're going to have to get used to. And I'm thinking very Eight of Pentacles. He's very used to his routine. He's very used to it. He will arrive at work at a certain time. Now he might have to go and work from home, right? Maybe he kind of like bangs his tools, or he uses his tools in a certain way. Maybe those tools will no longer be available to him or something, and he'll have to find a different way of doing it. So yeah, structures are fine, but they are very, very fixed. And sometimes we're forced to having to be more flexible.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful interpretation for the Eight of Coins in reverse.
Yes.
that adaptability, the flexibility, and even that working from home. Because if you notice, he's out in the middle of nowhere working
He's definitely away
away
from
from,
home.
yeah, the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That, I mean, we've all got to be. I think children are more adaptable to change. The older you get, the more you kind of get set in your ways. I mean, when you're younger, you hear about people being set in their ways, and you just think that's never going to be me. And then all of a sudden, you know, hello, actually, that is me. Like,
Oh,
I have my little morning routine, and I really don't like it if that gets interfered with.
I am definitely the same. I do not like surprises, good or bad. I just want things to go, and they never do. They never do. I'm always kind of like, because things. But I've also seen him. I've gone traditional with him in readings, and the reverse is unemployment. But I
Yes,
definitely like that working from
yes,
home.
yes, yes. Of course, it could be unemployment.
Yeah.
And sometimes going back to it, it could be the upright, or it could be the reverse if it's more severe. But sometimes, yeah, you could see the upright as being, you know, you've got a long way to go. Like, this job has got great prospects for you. But on the other hand, you could just say, well, it's going to be a long time before you get anywhere with this. It's the
Yeah.
same message, but it's how it's delivered. You
Yeah.
know, it's exactly the same message.
Wow.
Yeah,
So did you?
I find it kind of often when I am interpreting this card in some way, I I know, like you're saying, don't cram every meaning into a reading, which I totally agree. And you've just got to start to trust yourself to know when to shut up, you know, in a reading. And we're trying to cram everything into these card meaning kind of things. We would never do this in a person's reading. Like, but I do find with this card, I often refer to the fact that he is focused on something, whatever that may be, and I get something out of that pillar of coins as well. Sometimes I only see the pillar, sometimes I only see him, but often I will see both, and I feel I have to relate to both. I don't know if you agree on that.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree. And again, it's that intuition at work. And I think in the upright position, that pillar is good craftsmanship. He's doing his best. In the
Yeah,
reverse, it could be shoddy workmanship.
yeah.
It could be, the reason he's not going anywhere is because he's not taking pride in what he's doing.
I think this is a very good significator card for readings that require a significator that's the kind of a goal related or work related, you know, thing. I think he's great in that situation.
Yeah.
I definitely kind of think of him when I think of Gretel doing her jewelry business, because I hear her upstairs bang 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 bang, you know. I say I really really could, you know.
Absolutely.
I've got some other Eight of Pentacles just to sort of
Let's
show,
see him.
and I brought these along because I like them both in different ways.
Who do you want to go with
I'll
first?
go with the Wild Unknown. I think this is gorgeous. I mean, as much as I hate spiders, right, look at the craftsmanship or whatever, the expertise there, and look at the hard work that it has taken for that spider to perfectly create that web.
Yes.
You know, hours and hours of kind of, I don't know how a spider does it, but like, you know, weaving constantly that web. And I've got to be honest, as much as I don't like spiders, I would not, I mean, I don't know, if it was in the middle of my bedroom, I suppose I'd get it down. But if I saw that in my garden, I would absolutely like leave it there or whatever. If I could leave it and leave that spider there, you know, I mean, if I woke up and it was right in front of my face, in my bed or something, I'd have to do something about it. But I kind of, I would I appreciate what that spider has created there.
It's a beautiful thing. It's absolutely beautiful, unless you walk through it and then it's like hell.
Mm.
You know, when you don't
But
see it.
yeah, yeah. But I think it's incredible.
It is. It is one of the most beautiful things, and I've left them in gardens. Not so much the house, although Marty has trained me not to hate spiders. I've
That's,
gotten to the point where if they're in a part of the house that they just stick there, I'll leave them alone. And yeah.
but it really is kind of, you know, the pentacles are about nature, and that really is nature at work. That does remind us, you know, that animals work too. They have a job to
Nice.
do too.
I like that because so many times, and I've caught myself in this trap too, where we see pentacles and it's money or material things, but you're right, it is also nature. It's all earthly things.
Yeah. And that's how the spider will spend its day. That is kind of, I don't know, like how important that is to a spider. I don't know if that's a matter of life or death that it
Yes,
has
it
to,
is.
you know, I don't, I've never considered a spider mentality, but because I don't like them, but they're going to be much more scared of me than me of them. But even so, I would rather, I wouldn't kill one, but I would rather someone else dealt with it, which is like mad, but it's my thing. But
I get
I
I've
think
totaled a car because a spider jumped out of my visor. Like, forgot I was driving. The narcolepsy, with the narcolepsy, I get scared and I fall asleep.
remind
I,
me, no, don't, I'm not going to let you drive me anywhere, Sharon, ever.
I don't drive
Oh,
anymore. I
okay.
totaled that car. This and I was so hysterical when I woke up that the police officer wrote on the ticket that it was the spider's fault.
Unbelievable. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I am
But
not a
no, I would jump out my skin if a spider came dangling in front of me. I was driving along or whatever, or even if I was a passenger, I'd get hysterical,
I
you
fell
know. So,
asleep.
but I'm looking at that card and I am seeing that card is making me see the spider's job and what's important to the spider. It's making you see it from the spider's point of view.
Yeah.
That is amazing that the spider is capable of that. I don't know how long it takes a spider to weave a web.
It takes a while. It's a very slow process, but
Yeah,
that's their home. That's their ambush for wayward critters that they can eat. It's their food source. It's everything.
yeah. I mean, so
Mm.
you've got to kind of like look at the kind of the nature of that and the marvel of that. And there's just something much more pure about that than about a human's existence, really.
Oh
Because
yeah.
we're influenced by the media and, you know, everything.
And you don't know what he's going to do with what he gets out of his work. We know what she's going to do. She's just surviving.
Mm, yeah. So,
Sometimes really
yeah, so
well.
you know, I saw that card as being a very interesting sort of, you know, different look at the Eight of Pentacles.
You are single-handedly going to make me like the wild unknown. I just never got it before, but with you explaining it, I'm like, wow, I think I like this deck.
Well, I'm going for the cards that kind of jumped out at me as sort of triggered me to sort of think a bit deeper, you know.
Yeah,
I like that one. So yeah, but we're doing my other one now, or
we've
yours.
got yours.
Okay. So yes, again, we talked about this the other day. I love this. I mean, this to me is what, you know, we use the word work, right? You know, like we have to go to work to earn money to survive. Whereas this is, she is working on these plates because she wants to.
Right.
You know,
Now, I have interpreted the traditional Rider-Waite as hobbies or things like, I know when I was working the phone lines, it was almost 30 years ago. Lord, I have, God. I had a call, and it was an older woman, and she was worried about her finances. And I think it was the Eight of Coins. It was many, many moons ago. But I was like, there's something you know how to do, and you know how to do well. You just don't know it will make a lot of money. Turned out she did quilting. Quilting. I mean, you could sell a quilt for like $200-300.
yeah,
Those things are works of art. So she was super excited when we hung up. She was off to go do some quilting and
brilliant.
getting some
Yeah,
income.
yeah, no,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I think that's great that you got that out of the Eight of Pentacles, the Rider-Waite. I think it would be easier to get something like that out of this version of the Eight of Pentacles, which is all about kind of creative skills specifically. It is there in the Rider-Waite, but I think your intuition kind of kicked in a
yeah,
lot.
that was more intuition than.
Yeah, whereas a kind of like still work, but it's work that you absolutely enjoy. I mean, look, she's just thrilled.
And she's also wanting us to see it. She's like, look
Yeah,
at what I made.
yeah.
Like when I make my commercials. Mandy, come see.
I just think it's a really nice Eight of Pentacles, and I just think I just think a lot of us are good at something, and not everybody's necessarily found it yet. And like you say, that woman, she did know what it was, but she'd kind of forgotten it. Somebody else may not have found it yet, but this is kind of, you know, again, depending on the question it's answering, this is really suggesting find the thing that you're good at doing, and keep trying to do things till you find something you like doing. Find
Yeah.
something you like doing, and then work on it, and you'll realize you like doing it even more because you'll start to get better at it.
Yeah. I love that Eight of Pentacles.
She's very, very, I don't know, optimistic, isn't she?
Yes, and willing to share it. I love that when she's looking at us like, look at what I did.
No, I think she's great, and that she's from the Housewives Tarot.
Yes, Housewives. And
Yes.
I have Modern Spellcasters, Eight of
Oh,
Pentacles.
beautiful.
Love, love, love that Modern Spellcasters, if y'all can't tell. But the Pentacles is my favorite. But,
That is gorgeous.
and he's actually creating, I think he made every single stone, but he's creating something out of what he created. And he's sheltering that little dog, and look at the little dog is sharing its home with a squirrel.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
So, and I think that's a pile of coins and a pile of seeds and a piece of jade just to keep the dog comfortable. It's like he's doing it for somebody
I
else.
think it's lovely, and I think he's not just that he's creating something out of what he's created, but look how carefully he's putting that roof on it. You know, it's really done with love, isn't it? You know, you can
Yes.
see that in that card.
Yes. I love this deck. I love this card.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. I mean, again, if somebody came along and they wanted a sort of a manifestation type reading, you know, and you had to find a significator, and it's like, I want to spend my days making money out of doing something that I enjoy. Perfect, isn't it? That
Oh,
card.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. It really is.
And I love it because on that card as well, you actually see him in action, the same as with the Rider-Waite. They're in the process of doing it. As when you get something like the 9 of coins, it's kind of like, look at the results of my work, whereas this is, I'm actually loving the doing of the work. So it's a different place on the timeline altogether.
Yeah.
Amazing, Sharon. That's gorgeous.
I love that deck.
So, any others, or have we whizzed? I feel like we've whizzed through the 8 of coins.
Yeah.
Maybe we haven't. It just seems to flow. So, like we were talking about flowing, you know, and it is such a flowing energy, that card.
Yeah, it is. It is. The 8 of Wands, or 8. Why do I keep saying wands? The 8 of Pentacles is, to me, one of the, just, I don't know, one of the most relatable cards.
Yeah. And you know, sometimes when you're doing a reading and there's sort of certain cards, you think, God, it'd be great if the such and such a card came up now. Like someone saying, oh God, it'd be great if the Lovers came up here. I think the 8 of coins is one that you want to come up. You want that kind of, if you're doing a kind of someone starting up a business, or, you know, just kind of like, I don't know, passing their exams and kind of like getting a job. You really want to see that card come up in your readings.
Oh, yes, especially like one of us. But there are some people who see that card as one of the most horrible cards, because to them, they feel like it says that they're just got to have to keep working. Not everybody's workaholics. Mandy, you and I love to work, but there are some people who see that as just that perpetuation, or even that routine in that factory, you know, doing the same thing. So there are a lot of people who find that as a really horrible card.
But I suppose it depends what the reading is about, whether you're wanting that card to come up or not. But if you're doing a reading where you're hoping that the person's going to have employment and enjoyable employment and all that sort of thing, I think that is definitely up there on one of the cards you would want to say.
Oh, absolutely. For you and I especially. But yeah, the art that elicits that emotion, it's going to be personal to each person. So, but I've had clients where they see that card and they're like, ugh.
Wow.
It's like, they don't want to work. They just want to win the lottery.
A job for years and you're just absolutely bored with it. I can see it that way, but
I think that would be reverse for you and I. For a reading for you and I, that would be a reversal.
Definitely.
So that we would understand just exactly how it's being affected.
Well, on that note, we're going to move on up the ladder or up the tree to the 9 of Pentacles.
We'll see you there.
Shortly.
Bye.